psychopathic control freak killers are in control of our society. They're setting up world government. They're engineering the financial collapse, in their own words, to bring in total control, where every facet of your life will be controlled, where you'll pay carbon taxes for everything you do, where bureaucrats will run your life, youth brigades. The list goes on and on and on and on. You just heard Walter Cronkite talking about at the right hand of Satan. You just heard Henry Kissinger calling for world government. You heard Fox News saying children are bad. This is the program. I want to tell the police and military that serve the New World Order, most of you don't understand this. You better learn it. You are being poisoned and killed as well. Dr. Blaylock, I want to go to calls, but let's say you had 3 minutes on national TV to address the public about the program, the toxins, the poisons, what's in their food and water, and how to avoid it. If you had 3 minutes to boil it down and warn people, because this will be seen, it's being heard by millions, watched on the web right now by thousands. It'll be seen by millions in the aggregate just in the next few weeks as folks put this interview out everywhere. You've got 3 minutes before we go to calls, sir. What is most important for people to know about how dire this is, how real this is?
Well, what they need to know is that the authorities, the people who are defending these things like vaccination, the thimerosal, the fluoride in the water, they never have a defense against the charges that are being made. They never even attempt to answer these questions. When I challenge these people on vaccination, they won't even appear on radio to challenge me. I did that in Hawaii. We challenged the public health to come on and debate what I had to say. They wouldn't even appear because I know something that the other people talking about vaccines are not talking about, and that is when you vaccinate with these large numbers of vaccine, it activates the brain's special immune system and will destroy the connections in the brain, alter the development of the brain, and this is why we're seeing so many of these brain disorders and learning difficulties in our children. Now, these things are backed up by enormous research, thousands of studies all over the world by independent researchers. It's not that the research is not there and the proof is not there. It's that the media won't carry it. None of the major publications will carry this story. They won't interview you. They don't want to have this exposed. So we're having to use the other outlets like the Alex Jones Show and to get this to the public. It's very well documented. If you look at my website, you'll see a lot of references. You read my books, everything is referenced in the scientific literature. It's all peer-reviewed journals from some of the biggest laboratories in the world. But they don't want you to know these things. And so, people need to wake up and realize you're being fed a lot of propaganda. You're being controlled by propaganda. And this is absolutely proven. The Reese Committee, 1950, Federal Government Investigation, the Foundation, proved this beyond a shadow of doubt. You can get that book, The Foundation, The Power and Influence, by Wormser, who was the general counsel for the Reese Committee. It's all proven in there. The control that I'm talking about, the book that I've talked about by Dr. K on molecular biology history, it's all documented in there. So the documents are there. People need to quit watching football games all the time and garbage on the television and realize this is a very serious abridgment of our freedom. We're seeing the rise of a world totalitarian government, and if we don't wake up and start doing something now, it's going to be irreversible because, like I say, they have the wealth of the world on their side. They have the media. They have Hollywood. They have publishing firms. They've taken over 100 years to institute this very carefully.
But the public is finally starting to figure out the basics that they're being lied to, so there's a loss of confidence with Congress. One example, with a 9% approval rating. We have to move in now while folks are finally listening and warn them as you're doing, and that's why we salute you. Very well said, Dr. Blaylock. Before we go to these calls, I just want to point out to the military, the police, the bureaucrats, those that enforce this, so many of them I talk to or that email me, they laugh and they say, so what if it's all true? I'm part of the elite. They're all under the same attack. And there's no reason that 99% of the public wouldn't have a stake in fighting back against this. I mean, the final problem is people just have trouble dealing with the magnitude. But this is the nature of our world today, and this is what we're facing. How do you see
Well, if they think they're the elite, they need to read the history of the Soviet Union. All the people who were responsible for bringing the Soviet Union to power were killed. All of them. Virtually the entire NKVD in the beginning was wiped out. That's your police. That's the people who were doing the killing initially. They thought they were protected. They were all killed. The head of the NKVD was murdered. So, if
Same
they
thing
think
with
they're
Hitler.
protected, they're fooling themselves.
Same thing with the Nazis.
And then they get rid of them.
Same thing with the Nazis, now the long knives.
Right, because they cannot be trusted. If you read Soviet literature, the first thing they tell you is the revolutionaries that bring this about can't be trusted because when they see they're lied to, then they want to revolt, so they have to kill them off or put them in gulags.
Well, what did Caesar do after he got power?
It's throughout all of world history from the very beginning. As I said when we were talking about totalitarian government, the first thing that happens, they fear the people. They fear their own special police. So they periodically have a purge. They get rid of them.
Well, if you study special forces, after they've used special forces for dirty deeds all over the world, they always shut them up or put a conviction on them to discredit them so they can't ever speak out, or they kill them.
Right.
I mean, this is so horrible. Well, God bless you. I want to take some calls here in the final 20 minutes we have left, Dr. Blaylock. But for those that aren't watching on prisonplanet.tv, verbally give folks, again, your website so they can check it out, and hopefully you've got some ways for people to try to protect themselves. We know they're now spraying us, and I've got mainstream news about DARPA in mainstream papers saying they're going to put up towers with ultrasound to soothe the public during crises. Have you seen this research? Where they're
yeah. You see, they've had this decade of the brain. They are pouring literally billions of dollars into neuroscience research. A lot of it is designed in how to control people's thinking. And if you read Delgado's book, who is a very highly regarded neurophysiologist who did depth electrode studies on the brain, how to control behavior. And in his book, he said the last refuge of the individual is his own mind, and they're after that. They want that last refuge, so your thoughts will no longer be your thoughts. And they're using this massive investment in neuroscience to figure out how to do that. And a lot of these techniques are what they're doing, things to make people apathetic, things to make people... I have a friend of mine who worked for the u.s.a. As a debriefer of Soviet defectors. And he told me about all the different drugs they had discovered that could make you change your entire attitude, where anti-communists would become communists. It would completely reverse everything you believed in. That these drugs existed, and they're even more sophisticated now, and techniques are more sophisticated now. And Delgado said, I no longer have to implant electrodes in people's heads. We can do it at a distance by methods like you were just discussing.
Well, that's right. Back in the 1950s, they had these patented in the U.S. alone, and not to mention what's classified. But the thing I saw like 7 years ago, it was in the Baltimore Sun. They said, DARPA that invented the Internet, they're putting up towers to soothe the public, and it was like a weird test bubble. And then it says, this is out of Spectrum Online, which is for tech insiders, mainline magazine. And it says how great it is that, sound waves for brain waves. And it says they can control the public. And then I have CBS Newscast where they say they're going to start doing this to prisoners to reform them. I mean, this is open mind control. The towers are now up, and you tell people this, and they roll their eyes at you.
Well, it's absolutely true. I can tell you, I've spent a lot of time reading neuroscience literature. And these techniques are being developed, and the government is very, very interested in these. And it's being funded by these major foundations.
Unbelievable.
Because this has always been a dream of theirs, is to control human thinking.
Well, the Pentagon says 90% of war is mind war now.
Right.
And,
exactly.
and folks, I mean, we're not in Kansas anymore. We're in a lot of trouble.